My Licorice is Alive with Duke Ellington's masterful Sophisticated Lady. The tune was first introduced in 1933 by Duke's orchestra, and the great clarinetist Barney Bouchard carried the melodic freight. Find it, listen, and learn. My fave instrumental takes on the tune are with Buddy DeFranco's clarinet and also the one and only Thelonious Monk. He also lent a very modern and sophisticated take on Sophisticated Lady. Vocal-wise, check out the great Billy Eckstine. If you don't know about Billy, check him out. He had the most rich and velvety baritone of the big band era. Also, Nancy Wilson's Sophisticated Lady can make you cry. And lastly, check out the Boz Scaggs version. He really takes you there, wherever that is. So welcome, friends, subscribers, and countrymen, to another installment of Rebel Without Applause, coming to you from my movie studio apartment right here in the Wood of the Holly, under the sign overlooking the enchanted land of law. As always, I'm doing my best to explore the netherworld of my brain and hopefully, just maybe, shed a little light into yours. And so, folks, the political horror movie drones on. The monster that is Trumpzilla rages from his bunker. With every fiery breath, Trumpzilla spews out his venom. And sometimes from where I sit, it feels like I'm trapped in some kind of B horror movie. And everybody around me are Japanese extras looking up at the fire-breathing behemoth. Some scream and run for their lives, others stand in defiance, while scores of others just get trampled. And while the mayhem ensues, in a nearby laboratory, a platoon of scientists try to figure out the magic poison that will drive the monster back into the sea or down the throat of whatever volcano he crawled out of. Maybe those scientists will figure it out. I mean, if there is such a thing as karma or justice or truth, that would be a fitting ending. And let me tell you something, as a screenwriter, endings can be very difficult. Well, actually, the middles are the hardest. It's in the murky middle that most movies die, but so what? For now, let's figure out an ending. I'll get to the murky middle later. So let's ruminate. Let's imagine. Let's see. Okay, tormented by Nancy and Adam with the sound of gavels pounding inside his tiny skull, Trumpzilla rages out of his bunker at 1600 and storms up the eastern seaboard towards the Big Apple. He leaves a path of destruction up the Chesapeake Bay. He terrorizes Philadelphia. He stomps down the Continental Congressional Hall and then crushes the old Liberty Bell into smithereens. His fury growing, he leaps across the Delaware River until finally the National Guard surround him at that golf course in New Jersey. You know, the one that he owns. But somehow he escapes. He backtracks east and finds refuge inside the Holland Tunnel. Okay, I like that. And then there's a period of calm before he appears wide-eyed and insane on the old Indian Isle of Mannahatta, now known as Manhattan. I personally prefer the original Indian name. So, okay, he rages across Mannahatta, leaving a wake of chaos and destruction. And then, of course, I got it. Trumpzilla climbs the Empire State Building. No, that's been done. Way too derivative. And besides, that's an insult to my fave monster of all time, King Kong, who was never really a monster. He was just misunderstood. Okay, how about... What if Trumpzilla climbs up one of his own towers? You know, those glass and gold New York tombstones with his name on it? The one in Midtown? No... Better the one on Columbus Circle overlooking the park. It has a great view. That's too obvious. Actually, I like him on one of those big New York bridges, like the George Washington Bridge. No, that leads back to New Jersey. Better something like the Triborough Bridge, which, if memory serves, leads to his original spawning grounds of Queens. Yeah, that's it. I'm seeing it now. The big climax, leaving a trail of death, destruction, and mayhem, the monster retreats from Mannahatta to his home borough, Queens. Yeah, like the salmon returning to his spawning grounds. That's it. And he's looking for something. Something he lost, something that was taken from him in his youth, like that sled in Citizen Kane, Rosebud. Yeah, that's it. Only he never finds the sled or the baseball glove or his baby blanket that was taken from him by his daddy. Instead, as he crosses the span of steel and concrete from Manhattan into Queens, Trumpzilla loses his balance and gets tangled in the matrix of cables that support the bridge. The bridge sways back and forth like an out-of-control teeter-totter, and as it reaches its apex, the bridge picks up height and speed. Trumpzilla's eyes go wide with terror. The asphalt cracks, the steel bends, the monster thrashes and pulls and kicks only to get more and more meshed in the cables until finally, in one last spasm of anger and fury, the bridge collapses and carries the monster down into the sludge-filled depths of the East River. The river gurgles and bubbles and swirls. The monster thrashes. Trumpzilla's head surfaces for one last death-defying breath, and then with a thundering splash disappears into the depths. The onlookers from either side of the river watch with bated breath. Everything is quiet. And then the citizens recoil in terror as the river vomits forth one final blast of bubbles. And then nothing. The current or the tide or whatever returns to shit-colored tranquility, and then finally, and for all time, the monster is gone. Fade out. The end. Roll credits. Wow. I love it. Woo, I got to get my Oscar speech ready. I'm seeing Best Screenplay, Best Picture. I'm seeing Golden Globes and SAG Awards. I'm seeing an actual career. I'm seeing a little house in Malibu with my dream girl and a purple teddy sitting on a stool behind her daddy's piano singing Drummer Boy. Wow. Talk about a happy ending and a new beginning. Listen, I'm entitled to my fantasies. I'm allowed to project. But still, I got to get back to the real world of congressional hearings and insane tweet storms with Republicans in lockstep behind the PVP, and by that I mean Putin's vice president. For them, tribalism has triumphed over truth, fiction over fact, and gee whiz, I'm trying to think of the next phrase to round out this thought. Whatever, it'll come probably sometime after I record this. Either way, I don't think Herr Adolf got as much loyalty from his stormtroopers as the PVP is getting from his Republican minions. Talk about toxic. Those guys, so angry and so white and so victimized, kind of makes me hate the color of my own skin. But rail though they must and complain as they will, their fearless leader, the predator-in-chief, will, by the end of next week, be tarred in the people's house. By that I mean he will be officially impeached, and then he will be ripe and ready for his feathering in the Senate. Only problem is that the majority leader over there, what's his name? You know, the one who also looks like a monster, the one with the face he deserves. Well, he's got some other ideas, and you don't have to be a constitutional scholar to realize that the chances of a successful feathering about as high as me getting that Oscar and my dream girl in the purple teddy. So for the time being, at least, it looks like the PVP will get to keep that rent-free housing in that white bunker at 1600 until the noon hour of January 20th, 2021. Then hopefully there will be a fresh tenant waiting to gain entrance to the bunker. If not, well, that's too awful to contemplate. I might have to dust off my passport and join my expat buddy in Ecuador, just split to Noosa Heads in Australia. I hear they have a great longboard wave there. At the very least, it'd be worth checking out. Okay, what else? The holidays. They're here. Every year they come up at me like a runaway freight train. It's all so predictable. Every year, the same thing. First, the last precious days of summer dissolve into fall. Then the winds howl out of the desert and fan the fires that blaze across Malibu. And then it's Halloween. And then the days pick up speed and I barrel headlong into Thanksgiving. After that comes the rains and the cold, and the north-facing beaches light up with those big winter swells. And then just around the bend, I can hear the chug, chug, chug and see the smoke trailing off the engine car. And with that, I know Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's are right around the corner. The earth trembles as the freight train bears down on me. And so it goes. And as always, I'm hoping I could put on a fresh face of joy and gratitude. After all, Christmas is Jesus' birthday, and even though I'm Jewish, I consider his birthday a big day, and why not? After all, Jesus was a nice Jewish boy who stood up to those meanie Romans. What a cool guy he was. Rather than strike back at those dudes in the chest-pumping metallic breastplates, Jesus said, and I translate loosely from the original Aramaic, I will love my neighbor, even though those meanie neighbors and the chest-pumping metallic breastplates would do me harm. Wow. Talk about discipline. I don't know if I could ever do that. I mean, if my neighbor wants to play his frigging country music too loud, I want to frigging kill him. But of course, nowhere is it said in any of the testaments, by that I mean the old one or the new one or in the Quran or in the autobiography of a yogi, nowhere are we instructed to love thy neighbor's music. We just have to love thy neighbor. Actually, it's perfectly acceptable to hate thy neighbor's music, especially if he plays it too loud or if it is sung by some dude in a cowboy hat. Then you are not only allowed to hate that music, you are obligated to hate that music unless it is written or composed by Hank Williams Sr. Then it's okay, because Hank Williams Sr., not Jr., was a songwriting genius on par with Cole Porter or John Lennon or Paul McCartney or Billy Strayhorn. And if you don't know who Billy Strayhorn is, listen to the tune Lush Life as sung by Johnny Hartman and accompanied by John Coltrane. Yeah, I think that's where the idiot goofball in Vegas got confused a few years back. Not only did he hate the music, but he hated the people who loved that music, so what did he do? He loaded up a hotel room with guns and ammo, and from out the window which overlooked the festival, he hauled off and killed by the bushel, by the dozen. Why couldn't he have just said, yo, folks, could you kindly turn down the music? But no, he had to haul off and kill. I hate that. See, that's another reason I like to play jazz. Nobody comes to listen to jazz except the musicians and maybe some homeless person who wandered in off the streets. Jazz is safe. Anyway, where was I? I know I'm rambling and I don't want to waste your time. Oh yeah, of course, the holiday season. Coming at me like a freight train. And yes, I'm strapped to the tracks, waiting to be obliterated by the locomotive, crushed by the steel wheels into a pulpy mass of emotional nothingness. See, for the attached, by that I mean those with insignificant others, the holidays can be fun. You hang by the fire, walks by the beach, coziness mixed with sex and sleep and food. Nice work if you can get it, and if you can get it, show me how. But for the rest of us, by that I mean the Tinder, Bumble, Hinge dating, app swiping masses, the holidays can take you right to the brink. And when I say the brink, I mean the razor's edge of despair for opportunities lost, for loves that got away, and for careers that have flatlined. Now, I've heard it said that the best thing you can do is to go out and do something for others. You know, serve food or wrap gifts for those less fortunate. I heard somewhere that the act of giving is supposed to make you feel better. It's supposed to be good for the soul. Maybe it does. I mean, I've tried it, and yeah, it does. It works for a while, but the second you stop serving turkey or giving out ponchos under freeway overpasses, the old feeling returns. Maybe the reason giving actually makes you feel better is because you get to see folks that are worse off than yourself. You know, people who live in tents or cars. Then you realize maybe I don't have it that bad after all. Sure, I'm lonely, but hey, I have an apartment and a car and my health insurance with subsidized insurance to back it up, thanks Barack. And what's more, I have 5 surfboards and 2 paddleboards and a kayak, plus I have fly fishing gear, scuba gear, and a mountain bike and a lot of other cool sporting goods, which requires a lot of attention and care. And you talk about responsibility. It's not like being just like a parent with a human being that you have to feed once in a while. No. So yeah, maybe I am low in the Hollywood food chain, but in the larger food chain of life, I'm doing pretty darn good. Actually, I'm doing better than good. I have a great family. Both my parents are still healthy. My brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews are all great friends. Maybe it's just the absence of the big L. Yeah. Maybe it's the absence of the big L. You know, the love with all the sex and romantic stuff. Maybe it's the absence of the big L that can suck the value out of all those little L's. You know, the little L's for family and friends, and the L for humanity, and the L for all those folks who love country music and voted for the PVP. Sometimes you have to embrace all the little L's and forget about the big L. The big L can really mess you up. The big L can leave you physically savaged and furious and jealous and insecure. So until the big L hits me again, if it ever does, I'm going to try to focus on all those little L's. That's my New Year's resolution. So guess what? I called my nephew, and we're going out for lunch right now. So there you have it, folks. I'll see you on the other side. By that I mean next year. And thanks for hanging with me for my second season of Rebel Without Applause. If you dig this, please feel free to share this or rate this or review this. And if you didn't dig this, well, keep it under your frigging hat. So until the next year, the next decade, wow, a brand new decade right around the corner. Until the next decade, namaste, shalom, and aloha. And by that I mean Nama Shaloha.